You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of a short story through to line edits of a full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, well, happy Friday. That's right. We've made it. It's Friday. It's just a few minutes past the hour 11 Eastern right here on KLNRradio.com, and you are listening to Robinson and Wright. I'm Robinson. he's right, and no, that doesn't mean he's always right. Doesn't mean I'm always right either, but, just saying. Basically making fun of myself for a major typo today. Started trying to promote the show and use the hashtag and realized I had spelled right, R-I-G-H-T, and didn't catch it, and then went back to try to fix it, and autocorrect still left it alone, and I didn't catch that either. I'm like, really?
Well, you know what? I am right, so that's okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just one of those things. Oh, so anyway, what's new with you? Lots of stuff going on in the news, so I figure we'll start out by talking a little bit about what's been going on in our week. Also, I kind of thought, since this is the official launch, this might be a good time to actually talk about the graphic, because we've been catching some heat on the graphic, and everybody's like, well, you're just trying to make a political statement about guns and blah, blah, blah. No, not really. I mean, there's political imagery and messages all through the thing if you really take a second to look, and I think it would be kind of cool to finally explain it, because honestly, I didn't even really think about some of it until we had finally put it all together, and I'm like, oh, even subconsciously, I didn't realize this worked out as well as it actually did. So, taking the graphic from the least offensive parts first, the parties being basically eviscerated, it kind of makes it look like we're taking the parties apart. But at the same time, the parties have really been taken apart during this election cycle. The Democratic Party is almost in as much of a shambles as the Republican Party, and the Republican Party has been completely eviscerated. So that's kind of the overall thought of that graphic, is not only did Dan and I take shots evenly among both parties because we really don't like either one, this cycle has pretty much eviscerated both of them. Now, as far as the guns themselves, Dan noticed it, nobody else has, but if you'll notice, the guns are actually pointing at us. So first things first, the Smith & Wesson Sigma is the gun that I carried for 12 years while I was a private investigator, private security officer, and I ran and owned my own company. It was also the weapon that I carried when I was in uniform. So it's always been a part of me. I still have it. It's still put up. I still go shoot it from time to time. And, I mean, come on. The 1911 is part of Dan's Twitter handle. So, obviously, that's a rather important gun to him. So, that's why those graphics are there, or those guns are there. But the thing that nobody noticed is we actually have the guns pointing at us, which is kind of a double message, because Dan and I take shots from everybody because we tell it exactly how we see it, stand up for it, and don't back down from it. So, everybody likes to give us a lot of crap, call us names, and everything else. There's also another little meaning to that. Our favorite things, or some of our favorite things, or things that mean a lot to us, are currently pointed in our direction, which is exactly how we feel about this political season, because Dan and I are both very active in the conservative movement and have been for quite some time, and we literally feel like that movement left us behind and has turned against us. So there are lots of things going on in the graphic, and it's not just about the guns for you liberal whiners who've been giving me grief now for 10 days. Just saying.
Exactly. And you just said it exactly the way I would have said it. We're shooting holes in political lies. That alone says guns are involved. We just happen to say, wow, you know what? Rick loves the Sigma and I love the 1911. Let's put them in the graphic. But we turned them, like you said, at ourselves. And I love the graphic. I think it's fantastic. And that's our graphic. And if you don't like it, call in and let us know why you don't like it. That would be fantastic too.
Yeah, actually it would. Maybe at some point we should get all these people together that are complaining about the graphic and let them come on the show and tell us why they're complaining about the graphic. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Friday night is varsity football night here in the little small town that I live in. So we may wind up having to take the break early because the wife has decided not to take the son out to dinner. I guess they're coming home. So we may take a break abruptly, but we're still going to go ahead and get started. I just don't want you guys to hear the madhouse that ensues while he's coming through the front door. So biggest thing I really want to talk about, and I guess it's kind of, we'll start off with the fun stuff this evening, I guess. So for those of you who have been living under a rock, Sean Hannity has recently gone full Trumpkin. I'm talking full caps lock, full yelling at people on Twitter while he's supposed to be enjoying a concert, coming out in audio and talking about how he's this tough guy, and we decided to have a little bit of fun with it. So just sit back and enjoy this for a few seconds.
Maybe I'm not being clear. Let me be clear, because look, everybody that I've had some type of fight with on this particular issue where I say you own it, and that's what you're referring to, be it Glenn, or be it, Rich Lowry, or Jonah Goldberg, or Brett Stevens from the Wall Street Journal, or the NRL goes, and I'm not saying anything, I'm not advancing this today. I've got a lot on my plate tonight. But when I'm saying they've all taken shots at me first, and I'm a counterpuncher. I punch back. Now working towards my black belt. I'm very close. I got probably a couple of years. I finally got my brown belt. I'm moving up in degrees, and I kind of treat my business the same way. If you hit me or if you come at me, I'm going to really hurt you and defend myself. And I don't mean hurt in the physical. So this is verbal combat fun warfare.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But, yeah, so that's kind of my whole take. As soon as I heard Sean Hannity talking about how he was a brown belt working his way to his black belt, the first thing I thought of was, oh my God, there's a song that would fit this perfectly. And there have even been folks that have started making parody accounts of Sean Hannity calling themselves Kung Fu Sean and Kung Fu Hannity. And it's just kind of, I mean, when you see someone that you used to look up to, that has been doing this longer than you and has gotten to the point to make it to where you at some point want to be, even if it's not quite that big and not quite that huge, but still doing this type of thing for a living and being able to support yourself doing it, to watch them do the mental gymnastics that this man has had to do, and the just complete total turnaround on his own audience that he's had to do is completely astounding to me. I mean, I understand some of the smaller folks that are doing it, like Bill Mitchell and Wayne Dupree and everybody else, because they found the niche within the Trump movement at this point, and it's propelled them somewhere. Because they have all of the angry Trumpkins that are tuning in, feeding their fire, and they really feel like they've found something because of the response that they're getting from that group. But they don't realize how short-lived it's actually going to be regardless. Because, I mean, come November, whoever wins, they're done.
You're absolutely correct. It doesn't matter. No matter what happens in the election, you have Wayne Dupree, who has shunned everybody that supported him for years. He's completely shunned them. And you have Bill Mitchell, who is literally a used car salesman. And when this is all over, he's just going to be a used car salesman. It's ridiculous. These people have glommed onto Trump. And even if he wins, it's over in 4 years. It's done. So they've given themselves a 4-year life cycle and totally shunned. Me and Wayne, I used to love Wayne Dupree. It's done. He has me blocked on Twitter.
Yeah,
I mean,
Wayne and I never really got along. I tried, but we just never really got along. He's always been one of those people that was always more worried about his own brand than anybody else's, and I actually had reached out to him after he had poached a host from me years ago and said, hey, I don't have an issue with the fact that you got one of my guys to do a show with you. I really don't care, because as long as we can do shows together, that's fine. And then the next thing I know, I'm blocked on Twitter, and he's ignoring me, and JD and Stacy are over here, and so's half of the rest of his crew. All right, so I'm seeing headlights, so we probably need to go ahead and take the break here really quick. When we come back, we'll keep talking about the mess that is 2016 and the fact that the right keeps marching further and further left, and probably make a little bit more fun of Sean Hannity. We'll be right back here in just a couple minutes.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live. This is Robinson and Wright, and it is Friday night, and we are just kind of talking about the mess. Okay, so I have to ask, because you and I really haven't talked about this very much, and I've kind of been asking the same questions across all the different shows I do, because Lord knows I don't have enough work on my plate. So the recent shifts for Trump, how do you feel about some of the things that he's saying right now?
Well, he's doing exactly what I figured he would do back in June. I think it was about June 16th of 2015 when I said I wouldn't support him. He's pivoting completely left. And I totally expected it. I knew he would. He's got his base that calls themselves the alt-right and say they're righter than me, but yet they will defend every new program that comes out. I was actually called a woman hater yesterday. I was called a woman hater because I don't support Trump's government mandated maternity leave and child care. I was called a woman hater by somebody who says they are right of me.
You know, the interesting thing about that is I just actually watched a Trump supporter make a rather anti-female statement about a friend of ours. So it seems to me they have the market still kind of cornered on that stuff, whether they really want to admit it or not. Because they're usually the first ones that are like, kind of like what they said to this person that I'm not going to repeat on the air. And it's just off-color, terrible stuff, and it's usually directed at either minorities or women. And they do it all the time. So for them to say just because all of a sudden now Lord Cheesy Poof has decided that he wants 6 weeks of daycare. The funny thing is, our 6 weeks of maternity leave and paid daycare. The funny thing is watching them now scramble to defend policies that they hated when they were Bernie Sanders' idea. They hated it when Bernie Sanders came up with the 12-week paid maternity leave idea. But now that it's Trump's idea and it's 6 weeks, and because it's going to be paid for differently and it's not going to be a mandate per se, it's completely different. But what they're leaving out is the fact that if these people don't have it, they're still going to force the companies to pay for it to make sure that they get it if they don't have any other way to get it. So yes, it is going to wind up being a mandate. It's going to wind up being passed on to the consumer. It's also going to wind up being passed on to the tax base, so we're going to get hit twice. And nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about what this policy is going to do to small business, which last I checked, the right has been clamoring for years around the phrases like Obama, "You didn't build that," has been saying that small business is the driving engine of the American economy. And yet now we have a big business crony capitalist pretending to be a conservative, pretending to be a Republican, who's going to do everything that he can to quash small business and leave his big business capital crony buddies all sitting back going, well, we can weather this, they can't. Thanks, Donnie.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And the whole thing is that most companies now are taking on policies. I think it's somewhere between 60 and 70% of companies in this country have taken on policies to cover maternity leave. Companies are doing it. Companies, why don't you let the companies that are driving our economy take care of it? Because they are. Insurance companies and everybody else are starting to offer this stuff, and companies are taking it on. And Trump's just going to come in and say, no, here you go. We're going to figure it out. It's going to be, whether it's going to be a tax break or whether it's going to be whatever it's going to be, it's a government-run policy. It's a government-run. The government runs anything. It costs us money. That's all there is to it. Now you've got to hire thousands of employees to monitor this. So now our taxes have to pay those people. It's ridiculous. It's something that has been on the forefront, and the private sector is taking care of it. Let the private sector take care of it. By bringing in more programs, all you're doing is creating more government jobs, making government bigger. The child care thing. Yeah, okay, so you get a tax break a bigger tax break for your child care. Well, now the IRS needs to hire 500 more people. People don't understand what that does. It creates bigger government.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that what Trump said he was against, was bigger government?
Yes, exactly what he said he was against. That's exactly why he's where he is now. That's exactly why he beat out every conservative that ran. Now, we got screwed. We had 17. I mean, when was the last time you had 17 candidates running on one side in an election?
I call it I actually call it 16 in the clown, but I'll let you have your 17.
Well, yeah, I call it 16 and 23. That's what I call it. But he pandered to people that really never paid attention before. And part of the problem is the last 8 years. I get that. But those are the people that didn't pay attention 8 years ago or 4 years ago. They didn't pay attention. Now all of a sudden they're paying attention and they say, oh, everybody's a rhino but Trump. Well, Trump is the biggest rhino of all of them because he's not even a Republican. He's a Democrat. So out of 17, we had 16 Republicans. Some of them, I guess you can maybe call them rhinos if you want to. But upper tier of that, which was about 7 or 8 of them, were real true Republicans. And we ended up with a Democrat. We have a Democrat as the Republican nominee and a Democrat as the Democrat nominee and a Democrat as the Libertarian nominee. So where does that leave our choices? Democrat, Democrat, or Democrat?
I say it leaves us screwed, and screwed. But that's just me.
Yeah, and you and me both, we agree the Libertarian Party really let us down too. I mean, it's like we have no home. There's no home.
Well, we're working on that.
Everybody tells us how we should vote. Everybody likes to tell us how we should vote. I vote. Maybe I'll try to maintain the Congress and the Senate and see what happens otherwise, because I just have my principles, and you do too.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up the everybody telling us how we should vote thing, because that annoys me. Because, look, even though I'm sitting here telling people that I honestly think they're making a mistake if they vote for Trump, I'm still not telling them who to vote for. I'm just giving them my opinion. But these people, one of them shall remain nameless, but you know exactly who I'm talking about, who like to pull out the argument of, well, if you're against Hillary but you don't vote for Trump, then that's half a vote for Hillary. Or if you're against Trump and if you're against Hillary or Trump and you don't vote for Hillary, then that's basically still a half vote for Trump. These people and their mental gymnastics and their Common Core math just completely astound me, because none of that argument has never made sense to me. It doesn't make sense, because my vote is only going to count where I put my vote. And I have to tell you, at this point, I honestly don't know if I'm voting top ticket. I should, even though Gary Johnson's an idiot, I should at least still try to make sure that the Libertarian Party gets to stay on my ballot in Oklahoma. But I'm completely disillusioned by the Libertarian Party and the fact that they finally really had a chance to do something, and they proved they're no different than the other two parties. They finally had people listening to them. They finally had people watching them, and all they really did was say, well, carbon tax, maybe that's a good idea. Oh, no fly becomes no buy? Sure, we can do that. So basically you're Democrat light, and we have two full-blown Democratic parties standing next to you. I don't really see how that gives me much of a choice, because there are no conservatives anywhere in the parties right now at the top of the tickets. Fiscally or socially, there's not a conservative anywhere. There's just not.
No, there isn't. And I mean, as much as I'll say I came back to the Republican Party after 13 years. I did. I came back for people like Walker, Rubio, Paul, Cruz, Fiorina. I mean, those are the people. And even, I'll even say it, even Christie. I mean, I really never had a problem with Chris Christie until he was the first one to jump ship. And when I say jump ship, I mean endorse. But we had, the Libertarian Party had Austin Peterson, who if any of you out there listening watch the Libertarian debates, Austin Peterson owned those debates. But the way the Libertarian Party works, they don't have quite the organization. They can't have quite the organization that the other two parties have. So they literally choose their candidate, they choose their nominee at their convention, by convention. It's not really by vote. They don't really true votes in every state. So they choose their nominee. Well, they decided to choose somebody that would go against Hillary better by choosing a liberal. Instead of sticking by their original platform, which is less government, more freedom, who is Austin Peterson, who owned all the debates. He owned them. But they didn't go that direction. And bless him, he will back Johnson, and he is backing Johnson. And I look at it different than the Republicans that will back Trump, because it's a smaller party, and what choice does he have? You know, there's not as many of them. But I would like to see Austin Peterson break away for the next 2 to 4 years, because somebody like him and somebody like Ted Cruz, or dare I say Marco Rubio, that could be something that moves off and away from the GOP. That's just my tinfoil hat kind of thought.
Well, no, I mean, I agree with you. At this point, I think true conservatives, and no, for all of you that are like full, and this is not the last resort votes, and this is not the, well, we're down to 2 choices, so I'm going to pick the one that most aligns with me. I'm not saying this to insult you guys, because I've been where you are. I did the same thing for McCain. I did the same thing for, well, less for Romney, more for McCain. Because Romney, I actually thought Romney would have made a really good president. The problem is Romney was too far of what we need Trump to be, which is have like a moral center of some kind. Romney actually had a chance to go on the offensive in debate number 3, and his staff decided against it because they felt it was better to take the high road, because at that point they really thought they would get more traction with the American people by not attacking the president in a blatant lie that was made in the second debate. And I know this because I kept getting emails from people within the group that said, if you can't tell anybody that who I am or that I'm contacting you about this, but you keep asking us the same questions over and over again, so here's my answer. Simple fact of the matter is the people that were handling Romney's campaign decided that he needed to do what he did, which is not attack the president and try to take the high road, because they really thought they had it locked up that way. And I think that's one reason why the party swung as far as they did with Trump, because they watched Romney in the debates and they realized that he was a great guy. He had a lot of the right things that we needed as far as a POTUS, but he didn't have any teeth. So they went from Toothless McGee over here to Piranha Boy. And now we're watching the fact that not only do we have somebody with teeth, but he can't even be controlled at all. And he just basically gets turned loose, and anybody in his way is basically pulverized no matter which side of the argument they're on. And you've seen him do it over and over again. He'll attack his own. He'll attack people that he doesn't know. He'll attack people that he doesn't like, because that's what he does. He tells you his opinion, and if you don't agree with his opinion, he browbeats you until you agree with his opinion. I honestly think that's probably why Hannity has gone so far and so crazy as he has, because he's had probably the most exposure to Trump of any pundit. And it's been bad for Hannity. I'm telling you, he's full on like dark side Trump at this point. It's scary.
Yo, it is. And like you were saying, it's with Trump, he has gotten to the point where I see all this. I get all this on social media where I get yelled at, like, if you don't vote for Trump, you're just giving up SCOTUS. Well, what people don't understand is that Trump has attacked every single Republican senator that is up for re-election that didn't totally support him. If we lose the Senate and Trump wins, he doesn't get any SCOTUS appointments either, because a Democratic Senate is not going to approve his SCOTUS nominees. They're not going to do it. That's what they don't understand. Is now we're looking at possibly Hillary winning and losing the Senate. So if Hillary wins and Trump has destroyed the Senate, now we really do lose SCOTUS. We lose it. It's gone. This argument is so stupid. It absolutely just kills me that I'm being told that I'm the one that's going to take away our 2A rights. I'm the one that's going to take away our First Amendment rights. I'm the one that's going to take away everything because I've screwed up SCOTUS. No, I haven't. Trump has. Trump has, no matter how you look at it. Because if he wins and we lose the Senate, it's done. If he loses and we lose the Senate, it's done. Is that really hard to understand, or do I have a tinfoil hat on?
Well, I'll actually take things a little further, and I'm just saying this because it's something that I've been saying on Twitter now for several days. With his complete and total slide towards the left. I mean, look, he just, during his Dr. Oz interview, talked about the fact that he wanted to expand Medicaid. He's now wanting to do paid maternity leave. He's wanting to do a tax credit for daycare. He's wanting to do all of these things that are basically the ice cream vote. That's what a lot of us used to call it when the candidate was willing to hand out anything they had to do to get your vote. And it's been a term that's been used now for a while. The funny thing is, those of us that were on the right at one point, and I'm not sure what exactly we call ourselves now because the right has been co-opted, the left is not ours. I mean, so where exactly do we fit on the spectrum now when the right has become the left and the left is the same thing? So that's a question, I guess, for another show. But with all of those liberal choices and all of these things that he's rolling out, and I know that there are a lot of diehard Trump supporters and even some hold-their-nose Trump supporters are like, look, at this point, he's only saying what he has to do to pander to those votes because you guys won't vote for him. I don't believe that. I think Trump has been pretending to be something he's not now for nearly 16 months. I think he's put on the Republican candidate suit and it never really fit him well, and he's slowly shedding it now because he doesn't need it. So my question for everyone who keeps saying that Trump is our best shot because he's the one that will preserve SCOTUS, when he keeps putting up liberal policy after liberal policy after liberal policy, what makes you think he's actually going to choose conservative judges? Especially when he's already talked about the fact that he thought I believe he said, was it his sister or a friend of his, that is like really, really liberal that would have made a really good Supreme Court judge?
His sister.
What I thought. So all of that, and again, not to sound like Dr. Phil again for a moment, but the best indication of future behavior is always past behavior. And the fact that everyone seems to think that Trump is going to somehow keep his word when he breaks it every chance he gets over and over and over again about these SCOTUS appointments is insane to me. And look, again, I get it. There are people that are clinging to the hope that he's the last chance to save the country. Look, I don't buy into that crap anymore because we have been told this for every cycle from the time I was old enough to vote. This is the last chance to save America. This is the last chance to save America. If we don't vote right now, we're going to lose America. Look, I understand at some point we can't keep kicking the can down the road, but when you've got a guy on the right who's willing to spend just as much money as the lady on the left, and you're talking about the fact that we're going to be bankrupt soon, then what are we supposed to do? You've got a road that takes you to a cliff and a road that takes you to a bridge that's broken. Do you pick one and gun it, or do you find another direction? Because everybody's telling me we got to pick one and gun it, and I'm telling you that neither path is a good one, and neither path is a stable one. One may keep us moving for another 100 yards or so, but either way, we still wind up splat somewhere in a canyon, because that's just where we're headed right now. We're being pushed off of a cliff. The only difference is one has a bridge that gets you about halfway across, and you don't realize it's out till it's too late. And that's Trump. At least with Hillary, you know you're getting the cliff, so you can decide to turn around. But everybody's like, well, we got to go with Trump because maybe he'll finish building the bridge before we get there. No, he won't, because he just told you he wants to spend just as much money as the liberals have for the last 8 years, if not more. But he's going to save money because he's going to fight the waste, the fraud, and the abuse. They all say that. They never do it. I mean, damn.
You know, I was told the other day, I was given an option. I was given the option of, you vote for one poison or the other, and don't tell me you won't vote. And you know what my response to that was? Shoot me. That was my response. Shoot me. Because that's the way I feel right now. I won't vote for either one. I will not. I can't. I cannot vote for either one. Do it. I have friends that say, you need to just vote for Hillary. We can't have Trump. But I can't do that either. At this point, I can't do that either. I don't know. Maybe somebody sways me before November 8th. Maybe they do. But they won't sway me to Trump. I can tell you that much. They just won't. Because I know what I get with Hillary. I won't vote for her. At this point, I will not vote for her. But I know what I get. I don't know what I get with Trump. I do not want to vote for maybes. I don't want to vote for maybes. Maybes don't work for me. I know what I get. I know Trump could screw us up. We could hit 2020 and see 2040 before we see another conservative. We could. I don't even like using the word conservative anymore because everybody equates it to Trump. I don't get that. But it could really ruin us. We could be looking at Dem control of the White House for 20 years beyond Trump. That's not what I want to take. That is not a chance I want to take at all.
Well, I mean, the thing that nobody's talking about is the millennials, because let's face it, there is this group of what are called millennial voters. Now, it's a pretty wide-ranging group. There are some that are in their late 20s. There are some that are just now coming to the age where they can vote. But they're still basically being considered millennials. And for those of you who don't know, millennial is for the folks that were born on either side of the 2000 turnover. So late 90s, early 2000s, that's kind of the millennial folks. And they're just now starting to come of age, just now starting to come of their own. And someday soon they will be running the country. Thanks to Trump, they have no interest at all in the Republican Party. We have lost so many of the gains that we've made with the younger generations because of the fact that Trump has been running around like a bull in a china shop. And the older folks that have been watching the Republicans lay down and take it for decades upon decades upon decades are the ones that have been eating everything that Trump says and does up, because they're like, finally, somebody's as mad as I am, and they're finally telling people exactly how we feel. The only difference is he doesn't believe what he's saying. You like it because he's angry and you're angry, but he doesn't believe a word that he's saying to you. If he did, he wouldn't keep changing everything that he says and does. He hasn't picked a single thing that he's stuck with. Not one of his original things that he's been talking about during the debates is anywhere near where it was when this conversation started. It keeps sliding further and further and further left. And I know there's somebody out there, and no, Miss Boots, I'm not saying this about you. I just saw that you put it in the chat, but I was already going to say this anyway. I know there's somebody out there who, as soon as I mentioned Trump talking about his sister was like, but Rick, that wasn't even on the list that he put out there. Here's something that nobody's talking about with that list. That wasn't even Trump's list. The Republican establishment gave him that list as a test to see if he would use it, and he did. But then as soon as he used it, he started backing away from it. It's no different than his NRA stances. He doesn't have an NRA stance. He spent a day in a room talking to the NRA and developed what he thought he should say based on their answers and responses to his questions. This is what Trump does. He's a salesman. He reads a room, he puts information together, files it away for later, and he uses it. This is why his campaign falls apart, picks up momentum, falls apart again, because he sets things differently in each group, hoping that nobody's ever going to notice, and hoping that if they compare, all he's got to do is talk about how unfair the media is to him, and how all they're doing is stretching, distorting, and or changing his words. That is Trump to a T.
That's it. And yeah, the media is unfair to him, yet he got all the way through the primaries self-funded. Do you know how he got through the primary self-funded? Because the media pushed him. Fox pushed him with Hannity and O'Reilly and Bowling and Fox and Friends and all of that, because they just pushed him. They just, I don't even know why they did. I really don't. But they pushed him. The other media outlets, man, people just don't learn. They did the same thing with McCain. Pushed him and pushed him and pushed him, and as soon as he got the nomination, boom, I'm done with you. It's free press until you get the nomination. When are we going to learn? Not when are we going to learn. You and I learned. We learned the last 8 years. But nobody else learns. Now he complains about the media. Well, you didn't look and you didn't listen. He complains. The media is against me. Well, they weren't against you in the primaries. They weren't against McCain in the primaries. They weren't against Romney in the primaries. When?
No, it's because they found a formula. Look, I understand that it sucks to be conservative in a world that is pretty much run by liberals. I get that. I really do. Because the simple fact of the matter is, if there's an actual conservative candidate out there, the press will do everything they can to put up the one and make the one seem strongest that they believe is the easiest to beat. And they've done that now time and time again. They did it with McCain. They did it with Romney. Now they did it with Trump. Now, it might actually bite them with Trump. I mean, I still don't honestly know who's going to win this thing. Because depending on where you look, the numbers keep shifting. And, I mean, last time I looked, even 512's numbers had changed a little bit. So who knows? I mean, we're down to a... We're down...
538 is at 60% for Hillary and 40% for Trump.
I don't know why I would say 512.
I'll trust their numbers more than anybody's. But 2 months ago, Trump percent, and now he's at 40. But the other thing is too, and I've said it before, is Hillary is sitting in a hot rod idling. She hasn't started. She hasn't done anything. She's not trying. And she's still at 60. So if she's not trying, what happens when she starts trying? She's going to start trying. She's sitting on a war chest. She's sitting on an absolute war chest, and Trump's got a couple $1 million. That's the way it is right now. It's gonna explode, is what's gonna happen. I've watched it the last years, and I watched it from afar because I left, and I loved GW, I did, and I do, and I think he got screwed, and that's partially why I left, but. She is sitting on a war chest. she's got to spend it, and she's going to. And to be honest with you, she's a lawyer. When everybody tells me I'm an idiot when I say it, but when these debates really start, when we really have a debate, she's going to own him. She's going to make him sound like a petulant child. And I'm not happy about that. I mean, the guy that's supposed representing me, which I won't let represent me, is going to get owned. He is going to get owned in the debates. He is going to get absolutely owned. And the stuff he pulled in the primary debates is not going to work with Hillary. It's not going to work. She's going to sit back and she's going to make him look like a petulant child if he tries to pull that crap. That's what's going to happen. It saddens me, man. It just saddens me.
No, and I mean it does. And I think the thing that has kind of hit home for me the most is I have friends that are on the other side of this argument, and I can't even try to talk to them about this without it becoming personal for them, because they think that when I'm talking about the diehard Trumpers that I'm talking about them. I don't think of any of the people that I know as diehard Trumpers, because a lot, I mean, at least the ones that I still talk to on a regular basis. There are some that I no longer speak to at all that are diehard Trumpers, and they're full on frothing at the mouth, caps locks, and have gone full Hannity. But there are some that I know are looking at it and they're saying the same thing that we keep hearing. There are only two choices. I have to pick one. This is the one I'm picking. Those aren't the people that I'm talking about. The ones that I'm talking about are the ones that from day one have bought into his crap and bought into his lies, and some of them have even pushed it knowing they were lies. And yes, I'm looking at you, Hannity, because you probably know him better than anybody in the world, because you've been friends with him for a very long time. You know it, I know it, he knows it. And you knew he was lying. You knew he was lying, and I could see it back when I was still watching your show when he first started coming on, because he would stumble and you would put words in his mouth to correct him before he said something completely stupid. You've been his handler on your show for over a year. You have basically put your hand in his rear end and told him what to say like a puppet, because if he couldn't do it, you corrected him and said, "That's really what you mean, isn't it, Mr. Trump?" No, that's not what he meant. He doesn't give a damn about your penny plan. He doesn't give a damn about all of Sean Hannity's other great ideas that Sean Hannity has been spouting off at the mouth about for the last 10 years. He doesn't care about any of those things, so quit putting them in his mouth. Because the simple fact of the matter is, the only person Trump cares about is Trump. He has been trying to do this since the 80s. He did it first by trying to form a new party. It blew up in his face. He did it again by floating it as an idea to turn it into nothing but publicity, and then backed off of it when he realized he got really what he wanted, which was just publicity out of the deal. And I'm pretty sure that's part of what he's working on right now, because don't forget, Trump TV is coming. It's coming soon. It will be here before you know it. And then we're going to have a sitting president who has a TV network named after him. I'm kind of curious as to how that's going to work, because everybody talks about separation of church and state. How about separation of news and state?
How about separation of international business sides, business holdings and state? He has international business holdings and deals, and he's going to be president.
And
he has deals with Russia, China, Bangladesh. I mean, he has deals with all of these countries, business deals, having stuff made and everything else. And he's going to be president? Really?
And you don't think he's going to be using the influence?
That makes the Clinton Foundation look like nothing, to be honest with you. But nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it at all.
Because to them it doesn't matter, because he's the good guy. That's the part that I don't understand. I mean, like I was telling somebody the other day, there has been a talk show host that actually does radio and TV that I've been talking back and forth on Twitter for days. And his final response to me before I finally just said, look, this has been fun. We've been doing it for like 2 days, but I really have work I need to get done. And he's like, look, to me, it's not as easy as right or wrong anymore because I don't agree with a lot of things from either candidate. But at this point, what I'm looking at is which one of the two is theoretically the less dark. And the first thing that came to mind when he said that is truly where we are right now. There isn't anybody in the political spectrum right now that, to use the old black and white Western motif, there's nobody in the white hat anymore. You can't just look and say, nope, that's the good guy, and that's who we need to be. That's who we need to be fighting for. Nobody's able to do that anymore. Everybody's got their hands dirty in one way or the other. Everybody's got themselves hip deep into one special interest group or another, and I'm not trying to deny any of that. But you're talking about a man who has connections in Russia and China and all of these other countries that is going to have the ability to make himself stronger by wielding the power of the most powerful nation on earth. And if you don't think that's why he's doing this, then you're not paying attention. That's why he's pandering to everyone that he can.
Absolutely.
Second. System. Okay, back to normal now. There for a second, I sounded like a robot in my ear. I have no idea what it sounded like for folks listening in the chat room, so I apologize.
You sounded like a robot in my ear, too.
I think we overloaded the system. Either that or the NSA is currently trying to hack into my computer. Even odds on both at this point.
Yeah,
all right.
He's doing this for himself, and nobody realizes it. That's the problem.
Oh, well, I mean, the thing about it is, I think people could notice it. I think they could. And again, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but the problem with us is with elections, once we've made our mind up, it literally is a Pavlovian response. Once you've picked a side, you can't back away from it. You keep getting sucked further and further into it. And I know this because I've been there, and that's why I'm watching all my friends do it now that are like, well, I don't feel like I have a choice. And some of them, and no, I'm not talking about anybody who's listening right now, so please do not blow a gasket, because I know there are some of you that always think I'm talking about you, and I promise I'm not. But there are a couple of them that have gone full-on Trumpkin. I mean, outright attacks of people because they won't vote for Trump. And that's the scary thing, is the more these people get sucked in and listen to the things that side of the argument says, the more I've seen more and more of them become more and more angry and less rational. And it really is kind of scary because we were joking about the T virus about 14 months ago. It's not really much of a joke anymore because it honestly kind of reminds me of a virus because it slowly kind of seems to take over time. And the people that dive in and keep staying in and do nothing but run in Trumpkin circles eventually sound a lot like Lord Cheesy Poof, a la Sean Hannity when he's talking about his brown belt. Now he's going to mess you up if you don't vote for Trump.
Yeah, Hannity, boy, I really thought I'd see a backpedal from him. I don't see a backpedal. He's really just defending himself, and he's got to know what he's done. He's got to know that if Trump wins, maybe he gets 4 more years, but his career is over. It's over. It's done. 4 more years, maybe. If Trump loses, Fox is going to be shook up. It's already. Why do you think Greta left? Greta sees it. She knows that all of the posturing she did for Trump has screwed her. That's why she left. She wanted to literally save something. She'll go back and do her lawyer thing. She's not going to get another job in broadcasting.
I wouldn't be so sure. If Trump TV launches, she might wind up over there. But we are officially out of time, and I remembered that you said you're about to go on with Jason in a few minutes, so we should probably wrap up.
Oh, that's just, I'm calling in. I'm not co-hosting tonight. I'm a call-in tonight.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, either way, we're officially at the top of the hour anyway. So why don't you remind folks where it is that they can interact with you when you're not on air with me?
I'm at 911G_fan on Twitter. And I do a show with Jason Taylor on Wednesday nights. And that's at hanamericaradio.com. And he's doing a one-off show with, I'm guessing, Jamie and Six and Francis, who's Libertarian Latino, tonight at midnight. And I'm just going to call in and be a guest. I'm not going to be a co-host tonight.
All right. Well, you have fun with that. All right, folks. I am Rick Robinson, one of the partners and the general manager for KLNRradio.com or KLRNradio.com. Somehow I still always manage to say that wrong when I get in a hurry. And also I do 4 shows a week around these parts. Well, actually about 9 shows a week technically. 5 days a week, America Off the Rails from 11 to 2, 11 a.m. 2 p.m. Central. Also do Jen and Rick on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then we do this one right here, Robinson and Wright, at 11 p.m. Eastern. And then I will be back with you live tomorrow morning on Finding Common Ground at 10 a.m. Eastern. And then, of course, after that, I produce both the Conservative Curmudgeon, which is heard here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and also produce Opinion Nation, the only liberal that's hung out with us long enough to still not only help me co-host Finding Common Ground, but also does a show of his own, who actually has a former NSA agent on with him tomorrow. So, liberal or not, I think that could be a fun show to listen to. But on that note, folks, we are out. We'll be back with you next week, and I'll be back with you before you know it, because I got to do this again in less than 12 hours. And then, of course, I'll be back with you on Monday. Take care. God bless. And remember, if you are either I'm voting for him because I don't have a choice, or you're voting for him because you feel like he's the only choice left, when we're talking about Trump supporters, we're not talking about you. Quit taking it so personally. We'll be back later. Take care. God bless. Good night.